Ladies and gentlemen, I do not actually need to introduce this lovely lady up on stage. People pretty much know her around Perth. It is the Michelle from Microsoft.
So they asked me, so this talk, I submitted 45 minutes, and they asked me, could it be done in 20? And I said, yeah, no problem. It's a problem. However, I'll do my best. Thank you to all of our sponsors. If you didn't pick up a Microsoft shirt in room 1, too bad if you are a boy. If you are a girl, you can still get one, because I have women's shirts there. Okay, so over the past year, I've traveled all over the world to a bunch of conferences, and I really love it because it means I get to see the world and meet interesting people, learn stuff about tech, and people will often ask me, though, how do you do that? How do you get that confident? Aren't you afraid to speak in front of a room of people? Aren't you afraid to be amongst strangers? Yes, I absolutely am. And that was why I got into it in the first place, because what I've discovered and what a lot of other speakers on the circuit know is that if you stand on the stage and talk about something that you know to a room full of people, they will then ask you questions about that thing that you already know, and you don't have to go up and approach strangers. Strangers will approach you, and they will talk to you. So many speakers are absolute introverts, and this is what they have done as their life hack to try and get around it. So if you're worried as well about approaching speakers and thinking, will they even want to talk to me? Yes, they're very grateful that you have come up to speak to them so that they don't have to try and make small conversation. Okay, how many of you know what imposter syndrome is? Okay, put those down. How many do not know what it is? See, not everyone put their hand up for when I said how many know, but no one put their hand up. So what I'm assuming is all the ones that did not put their hand up are the introverts in the room, and they're just here to hide behind other people. So just in case, imposter syndrome is that thing. It's that voice in your head that holds you back from opportunity. It is that voice that says, you're not good enough, you're not experienced enough. The only reason you got that job, the only reason you got that award, the only reason you are there is through luck, or because somebody knew you, or because blah, blah, blah. There's always something, and it's never about the hard work that you have put in. It's never about who you are. That voice is not your friend. So I'm actually going to tell you about 5 different types of imposter syndrome, and then for funsies, I'm going to show you how you can use GitHub Copilot to overcome those voices in your head. So 5 different types. Can we see them, or am I standing in front of them? I'm going to go through them one at a time anyway. Oops. So the first type is the expert. This involves feeling like a fraud when you don't know absolutely everything there is to know about the subject or topic. Is there anyone that identifies as that kind of one? Just a few? Just a few. So my friend Lars Klint helped me with this one. So Lars is also a conference speaker, and I saw him speaking at Techorama in Belgium about some Azure Cognitive Services when they were brand new. And he likes to encourage the room to ask him questions as he goes along. And so he was asking for questions, and every question the audience member had for him, he did not know the answer to. And this didn't faze him. He just wrote down those questions, and he said, this is also new, but do not worry, I will find out the answer to that, and I'll come back to you. And it was a really good talk. It showed off all these cognitive services. It went into a lot of detail, and it was great. But at the end, I went to him and said, Lars, didn't that mortify you not being able to answer a single question? And he said, no, absolutely not. This, what I have on this piece of paper, this is the future talk content. So my next talk, I already know everything it's going to be about. I know what all my demos are going to be. It's all on this piece of paper. And I thought, like, that was such a mind-blowing idea to me, that you don't have to know everything there is to know about something in order to talk about it. What you need to do is develop that growth mindset and see everything as a continuous learning opportunity. And that is how you're going to overcome that type of imposter syndrome. So let's have a little look at my GitHub. Oh, look, I don't know that you all can see it that well. So no one understands Git. People will claim to understand Git, but no one really understands Git. However, I can just ask Copilot to tell me, how do I do it? How do I deploy something to GitHub? What are the commands? What do I need to do? And it will do all those questions for me. Now, this is absolutely something you could ask someone else, but you would feel stupid doing it because everyone pretends to understand Git. Yes, so it is, I should just look down here, then I can see what it's got up to. But even so, I haven't got my glasses on. That's really small. So I'm just asking it a bunch of questions about how I should do stuff, and it's explaining the things to me. Even when I got an error message, I posted that error message into GitHub Copilot, and it told me what that meant, and in natural language. And then I just followed its instructions for how to move forward. And I really like that, because previously I used to waste a lot of time researching how to do things, and I would be frustrated because it took a lot of time to do it, and I knew they were easy things, but I don't want to read 10 pages of documentation to find out one command, you know? And so, yes, that's what it does for that. Next one, the perfectionist. So this type involves believing that you could have done better unless you were absolutely perfect. How many people have that one? Few of you are like right up there. So my friend Layla's a good example of that one. She's an amazing conference speaker. She is a Microsoft MVP. She is an expert in her field, but she is really, really, really concerned that her talks are not perfect, and so she will keep practicing and keep practicing and keep practicing. But she's amazing. But what she's doing is the right thing. So what she will first of all do is she will practice her talk in front of her two little daughters. They will give her a lot of encouragement and say, "Yay, Mummy, that was marvelous." Their feedback in terms of constructive criticism is not there. So she goes to her workplace and she'll do a lunch and learn with her colleagues, and they will give her feedback that she can then incorporate into the talk. And then she'll do a meetup, and then finally she'll do it at a conference. So just getting that feedback from people around you is a really great way to overcome this kind of imposter syndrome. And what I've got here is I am asking Git, could it show me a different way to code that function? Because I know I am not the best developer in the world, and so maybe it's going to show me a few different ways, and it's going to explain what each of those different ways do. That, I think, is really useful, because it's not that I'm having Copilot write my code for me, and I do not recommend that. What it is doing is it is teaching me how to be a better developer. It's showing me that there are options, and it's explaining those options to me. If I ask it, could the code be better? Could it be cleaner? Could it be more perfect? Could it be more efficient? It will show me different code for each of those things that I ask it, and it will, in fact, never get bored or frustrated. So what it does prove to me, though, is that there is no such thing as perfect code, because it will never stop offering me another alternative whilst I keep asking it. And the other thing I can do is, once I'm satisfied with the code that I'm going to use, I understand it, I think that that is the way that I want to go forward, I can ask it to write some tests for me. The tests, of course, will prove that the code works and that it's good enough to be used. So here, I don't know anything about testing, and so it's like offering me a bunch of different frameworks that I could use to test it. I asked it which one is the most common, and it's offered me still 2, because it doesn't want to take any decisions for me. And then it will, in fact, write those tests, and I can just apply those. And then it will tell me what else I need to install, what else I need to do in order to make that work. And that was one of the things that I found super frustrating previously. I just want to write code. I do not want to understand the infrastructure. I do not want to understand how these other things work. And I would spend a lot of time trying to connect stuff to Azure, for example, or how to, get these things working. So that I can just ask it those millions of questions and then get those things running is super, super comforting to me. Now, there are absolutely other developers in the workplace, and I could go to them with my questions. However, if I go to them with 1,000,000 questions, they're going to look at me like I'm stupid. And that is, of course, going to trigger my imposter syndrome. So I will not go to them with 1,000,000 questions. I'll go to them with the question that I could not get satisfactorily answered by GitHub Copilot after I have asked it 1,000,000 questions. And then I know that I'm bringing the senior developer a genuinely interesting question that we can then discuss. Okay, next one is superperson. So this type involves feeling like a fraud because you're trying to excel in multiple roles, such as work, family, and personal life. Anyone got this one? Anyone trying to be everything for everyone? Anyone feeling guilty because of their kids are growing up feral? Yeah, so this one I think is the fear of all working parents, but it's not limited to parents of actual children. I have two tiny puppies and one other dog, and they look at me with their big eyes and feel like I shouldn't be abandoning them for work. So yes, everyone wants this, but not just that. In the workplace, when you were a developer, you just used to do code, whereas now with shift-left thinking, DevOps, they want you to test, they want you to do security, they want you to do many things. And it is very, very difficult to do all of the things. What I would say is recognize and challenge your negative thoughts on that topic, seek feedback and support from others, celebrate your achievements and acknowledge your strengths, and seek professional help if needed. So this might be a counselor, this might be a cleaner, a gardener. It might be asking your parents to step in and do some babysitting. It might be reach to your team around you and ask them for help. I ask Copilot for a lot of help. What's it doing here? Oh, so here actually this is GitHub. And GitHub today is a lot different than GitHub was, say, even 5 years ago. So it has all of these security functions that I can just turn on and it will check for me. I used to have so much code with secrets in my repositories. Anyone else committed their secrets to their repositories? No one is admitting that, it's just me. But GitHub will no longer let me put my secrets in there. It will scan for that, and it will prevent the push when I try to put code in that has my secrets or passwords in there. It will check for dependency updates, it will check for security updates, and it will apply all of those things automatically if I will let it. And it will also check whether that's going to break my code or not. So a lot of stuff automatically in there for you. Ooh, it's going real fast. What were we doing there? So there were this is I really like, that it is context aware. So it can now look across your entire code base and provide you answers in that context, or just the file you've got open, or even just the segment of the file that you've got highlighted. Oh, this is my favorite thing. My GitHub pull request used to always just be, I've made a change, or I fixed that bug. Whereas now, you can click on the Copilot option. It will write a summary of all the changes you have actually made, which I don't even remember. 5 seconds after I've done it, I don't remember all the changes that I've made. But it will put them all in there. It will summarize them. It will put a link to the code so that any reviewer can check that and they can see what all the changes are, which is super, super cool. And when they're looking at it, you can also get it to explain what those changes mean for that code, which I think is also really good if you're a reviewer looking at someone else's code, because let's face it, no one can read anyone else's code, can they? Natural genius. This is feeling like a fraud because you don't believe you're naturally intelligent or competent. Anyone? This one? Anyone feel like they should just be good at it the moment they do it? I'm glad that I'm not getting many hands here. Because, yeah, I hear this a lot when I do she codes. From women will come and they will try to learn to code and they will say, oh, I'm just not good at this. I've never been good at maths. This is the thing that you hear in school all the time. Girls are not good at science. Girls are good at taking care of people. And that gets stuck in our heads. So do not say this to your children, whether they're girls or whether they're boys. Do not say boys are good at this, girls are good at that. They can be good at whatever they want. Nobody ever walked out of the birth canal. Remember that? It took you almost 2 years to learn to walk, to learn to talk, to learn to eat by yourself. And if you waited for, if you gave up on day one, where would you be now? So all of those same things that we have previously done will help you overcome this. Quickly in the Copilot, what are we doing? Oh, so here I really like that I can ask it to, are we doing it? No, sorry. No, do it. Go, code, go. Okay, so here what I ask it for is, could you explain this to me like I'm 5? Because if I'm looking at someone else's code, I would like it explained in really the easiest way possible. And so it is really helping me to understand how I can be a better coder, how I can be a better team member by understanding what other people do. The other thing that I really love now is GitHub extensions. So I think I'm showing this in a minute, where I can ask it questions about Azure, for example. So here I can say, what did I say? Oh, can you tell me what regions my Azure resources are in? So if I have connected my code to Azure, it can tell me what regions those are in. And it can tell me, I can then ask it questions about that, like, are all the services that I need deployed in that region? Or can I move my code to another region? That kind of stuff. So this is all infrastructure-y type things that I don't want to waste time on, but it will do all of that hard work for me. And with those extensions, it can figure that all out. Final one, the soloist. This is me, for sure. This type involves feeling like a fraud if you had to ask for help or to reach a certain level or status. Anyone else with me here? Don't like asking for help? That, I think, I had a huge fear of asking stupid questions, as I think you've probably gathered from this talk. I don't like to ask them. I like to ask them to Copilot, because then it's not going to laugh at me. No one has ever laughed at me in my workplace, I should say. So it is an unfounded fear that I have. But Copilot definitely helps me to overcome this. And so this is my final demo. And here what I have is I'm asking it, could it create a REST API for me using Express.js and MongoDB? So I'm asking it to do the whole thing for me. I do not recommend this. Do not ask Copilot to do all of your code for you, but it absolutely will. And you see that new thing there? You can choose what model you want to use. So it's using 4.0 by default, but it also offered me a couple of the other newer ones. What are they? Is it 1.0 or 0.1? I don't know why we've gone backwards in numbers, but we have. So you can choose a different model if you want more sophisticated stuff. So you use the one if you wanted it to, for example, code a 3D chess game, which is more complex code. Do not recommend that you have it do it all for you, but you can have it explain all of that code to you as well, using the /explain command so that you can understand it. Oh yeah, and I'm asking it again for a bunch of things that I do not know. Do I need to install a database? Do I need to connect it to Azure? What else do I need to do? And it will explain all of those things to me to help me understand. So it is my teacher, it is my trainer, it is my coach, and it is my validation. Do not use it to replace you, because what it will write for you probably is very bloated code that has no architectural oversight. It cannot see a plan in your mind, and so it will just try and do everything for you. So don't use it in isolation, but use it to help you, absolutely. So the way you interpret the world has value. This is one of the things I say to young people in all the time, in that, one time I was asking Gia to help me, and she said, I'm the junior, why would you ask me, why would you not ask Graham? And I said, I asked Graham yesterday, and Graham was the same age as me. He learned from the same books as me. He learned the same troubleshooting techniques. He learned everything in the same way as me. And when he looked at my code, just as I can't see the problem, he also couldn't see it. Gia looked at my code, being 20 or 30 years younger than me, and she said, there is a capital letter in your file path. So people will see different things from their different perspectives. It's very important. Okay. Any resources, have a go here. If you want, take a picture. And then we are pretty much done, because 20 minutes is not long enough for me to talk about my special love for GitHub Copilot. Thanks for coming.